All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai. We give double honors to the apostles elders, which are the apostles elders, a great millstone that have been set up through faith to help seal the elect that the Lord is bringing in. We're in the year of death, destruction, and diligence. And to you hopeful elect, to the men on the four corners of the planet Earth that's in its truth and sincerity, honesty, and faith, that's fighting and pushing towards the end because we're almost home. The Lord is acting in our days. He's showing us great wonders and showing us that His words are true. From us waking up to situate the prophecies that are coming to pass, all of this is to glorify Yahweh Shem Shai's name. That's why we're to say His name. We're to uplift His name, exalt His name as much as possible, because these things are coming down the belt line, and we gotta. The world has to know who's doing this. It's not Cesare Borgia. It's not all these other idols, which are no gods at all. But they're the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua is being shown. So I just wanted to go into a couple of news articles, and then I was reading some scriptures last night, and I ran across a scripture that was fitting to what's happening now, man. Because the Most High is casting the wisdom of Esau down to the ground, man. Okay, because now it's about time for him to be taken out of power. All right, so let me read this. Let me read this first article here. This article was on April 7th. It's a few days late, a few days late, but it still hits the point. And it says, Russia says U.S. broke international laws in striking Syria, citing Pretext. And then you can see right here, here's the Syrian base that was hit by the missiles. Okay, and it says a picture taken Friday shows the damaged Shayarat airfield at the Syrian military base targeted overnight by the U.S. Tomahawk cruise missiles southeast of the central Syrian city of Homs. And it says Russian President Vladimir Putin is calling the missile strike President Trump ordered against Syria on Thursday an act of aggression against a sovereign state delivered in violation of international laws under a far-fetched pretext. Because you have to go, because what is America built upon? So-called democracy, right? And you have a court proceeding has to take place before you judge somebody. All right, that's what they take pride on, is they want to give democracy into the world, and it's such a good thing. But then it's sort of hypocritical if you tell people, they should be go to tried by law and tried by this, and evidence must be seen, right? But then you strike a place off of just like it says pretext. You don't have no kind of substantial evidence to back it up. Let's look up this word pretext real quick. Let's get some of this understanding. The word pretext is a reason given in justification of a course of action that is not the real reason. Damn. See that? So the real reason is they want to try to take this guy out of power. Okay? They want to try to take this guy, Bashar al-Assad, out of power. Okay? Let me read some of this. It says, a purpose or motive alleged or an appearance assumed in order to cloak the real intention or state of affair. So Putin was right using that word, pretext. Because most people, they don't look up words and look in the different meaning of the words, so they won't know that he's saying, look, they did this for a whole nother reason. They didn't do this for the chemical attack. They did this for another alternative gain, man. You know? So that's what they were doing it for. They weren't doing it for so-called kids got bombed and different things like that. They were doing it for another pretext, for another reason. And it says, as at Russia's urging an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council begin shortly after 11 a.m. Eastern Time Friday to discuss the attack in which 2 U.S. guided missile destroyers in the eastern Mediterranean fired 59 Tomahawk missiles at Syrian's Shahrat Air Base and facility that hosted warplanes that the U.S. says carry out a chemical weapons strike in Idlib province early this week. I'm not going to go into the full article. I'll post it in the link, Lord willing, but I just wanted to, start there with the pretext, okay? Because that pretext is going into an alternative motive, and we know what that alternative motive is, man. This is to try to take al-Assad out of power because they're the ones that backing these militant groups that are fighting against, and like everybody was saying, Assad was winning. So their plans and all the money and the investment that they invested into these militants, it was falling to the wayside. So the U.S. had to protect its interests. I mean, if you look up, there's many articles and many things that have come actually out of the United States government that has said that they funded these guys. They've dropped money, they've dropped weapons. All that is an investment into something, okay? So let's go right here. This is article on April 11th. It came out today, and it says Tillerson.
4 distinct drive.
Last week, Bashar al-Assad's regime killed even more of its own people using chemical weapons. Our missile strike in response to his repeated use of banned weapons was necessary as a matter of U.S. national security interest.
Which is a pretext.
We do not want the regime's uncontrolled stockpile of chemical weapons to fall into the hands of ISIS or other terrorist groups who could and want to attack the United States or our allies. Nor can we accept the normalization of the use of chemical weapons by other actors or countries in Syria or elsewhere. The U.S. is grateful for the statements of all of our partners who have expressed support for our timely and proportional response. As events shift, the United States will continue to evaluate its strategic options and opportunities to de-escalate violence across Syria. Many nations look to the Geneva process to resolve the Syrian conflict in a way.
All right, that's pretty much it on that. I'm not going to go too deep into it. But let me read. It says Tillerson arrives in Moscow without game plan for G7. It says U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has arrived in Moscow for critical talks, but without a game plan from key allies about how to deal with Russia's backing of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. A meeting at G7 Foreign Ministry on Tuesday rejected a British plan to impose new sanctions on Syria and Russia in the wake of the last week's chemical attack that killed more than 80 people. Britain had hoped that threat of sanctions would strengthen Tillerson's hand in the talks with Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. But the G7 Foreign Ministry chose instead to wait. It says Foreign Minister chose instead to wait for an outcome of an international investigation into the attack of the rebel-held town of Khan Shakhan last week, which prompted the U.S. to launch a barrage of missiles on the Syrian air base on Friday. Western nations blamed the Assad region for the attack. Okay, and then you see right here, man, the U.S. is not prepared what's about to happen, man. Okay, and it says because this is to fulfill prophecy. So these things that are coming down the pipe, man, it's all to lead to that third world war, and the America's allies are going to turn around and go against them. It says Tillerson flew straight from the G7 meeting in Italy to Moscow, where he will become the first member of Trump's cabinet to meet with Russian administration. But the mood in Russia was bleak. It is obvious that Russian-American relations are going through the most difficult period since the end of the Cold War. Russian Foreign Minister said on Tuesday he's the background of Tillerson's critical trip to Moscow. All right, so it's showing you, man, things are at a at an ends. It says since the last Cold War. All right, let me go on to the next article. Because pretty much that pretext goes into lies, man. You know, they bombed them off lies. Let me see here. Yep, this is it says Tulsi Gabbard challenges shoot first, ask questions later, Syrian policy. It says U.S. involvement in Syria could be the powder keg that sets off nuclear war. And this was let out today. It says, in response to a chemical weapon attack in Syria, the Trump administration increased U.S. involvement in Syria through airstrikes targeting the Syrian government. The act received bipartisan support. However, Hugo Hague's organization for the prohibition of chemical weapons has not yet attributed the chemical weapon attack to the Syrian government. See? So they haven't even figured it out. But they already struck, though. So that's showing you that goes back to the pretext. Pending an investigation at the United Nations Security Council, Italy delegates Sebastiano Cardi called a military approach from the international community in Syria wrong and delusional. Wrong and delusional, adding the solution will never be found through military means. China, Japan, Bolivia, Uganda, Egypt, and several other countries affirm that an investigation by the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons needed to be completed to confirm the attack. In 2013, the United States, Britain, and France attributed a Syrian gas attack to Syrian government, but the United Nations debunked that claim and cited that rebels forces conducted the attack, though the Syrian government and ISIL have been known to use chemical weapons through the past 6 years of war. So it's saying back then they had chemical weapons, so how do you think they won't have it now? And it says the CIA already funded Syrian rebels who have been known to work with terrorist groups with $1 billion annually. And the Trump administration has been quietly increasing U.S. troops on the ground in Syria. Alright, so that's the main issues I wanted to go into, but I'm going to get into some scriptures real quick. Or actually, no, I got one more article. This right here is the banger, man. Because this Third World War is at the door, okay? This is, it says, this is from the Sun. It says, peace out. Could World War III really happen? How chemical warfare and nuclear weapons could lead to the apocalypse. And it says, President Trump Tomahawk missile attack on Syria regime has caused a spike in tension between the United States and Russia. The whirlwind assault has responds to evidence shown brutal dictator Bashar al-Assad dropping chemical weapons on rebel-held towns. Which pretty much, I say like this, they could have gave them coordinates and piled in the chemical weapons there and then forced them to bomb that area, releasing the chemical weapons, therefore making it seem like they dropped the chemical weapons when the chemical weapons was already on deck. They was already situated in that area. Okay, just like they were saying that there's a depot that was already there and they hit it. So it was the rebels' chemicals. So either way, I mean, he's a crafty one, man.